Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Update. We've got some breaking news tonight out of Santa Clara, California, where we've just discovered a new t-shirt inside one of the stores at California's Great America, at CAGA, if you will. This new t-shirt, coincidentally, harkens back to our very first episode on CAGA and Project SR-1. Where we said that SR-1 stood for State Route 1, which is also known as Highway 101. It's a road that travels all the way from the north of California to the south of California, actually goes right by Knott's Berry Farm as well. And we also kind of speculated that other cities getting new coasters next year also have SR-1s nearby, including Kings Dominion and an old version of the Cedar Point Road. Well, lo and behold, today we see a t-shirt that has the state of California on it. And Danny, you might see that big red line there. That is indeed SR-1.
Now, you might ask, what is that highlighted in red on the outer edge of California? So, Andy, you might ask, what is highlighted in red?
That is indeed SR-1. That is indeed the road that we had talked about on the very first episode of where we talked about CAGA's new edition for next year. So here we have a t-shirt with Project SR-1. We have the same tire tracks that we saw on the very first teaser when we first saw the walls go up. So Danny, that leads us to believe what is going on here, that it's been quite some time since we talked about CAGA. We know that they've been doing the same thing that Cedar Point did before their big Valraven reveal, where they had on their wall, they have a mural painting every coaster that they've installed over time, and basically gave some little background on it. So we know they've been doing that, but we still have really no idea the manufacturer, what type of coaster. Danny, what could possibly be going on here?
Well, there's two possibilities. Either you and I are really, 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 really good, or we know that California's Great America, in conjunction with Kings Dominion, watches our stuff and is putting stuff out there just to make us either feel really good or to laugh at us at the fact that we're going to keep talking about this, because right now we look like geniuses. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a couple, I mean, we know from the Met we met, quote from way back when, that we know that the two RMCs of the wood coasters are going to Cedar Point and Kings Dominion. So that leaves a completely new type of coaster and a renewed relationship, if you will, with a company whom with Cedar Fair has not worked in their recent history. So it comes down to, if Knott's and California's Great America are getting the latter two, we don't really know which is going where. Now, here's the thing. California's Great America has this big long-term expansion plan. They're looking to turn this into an entertainment complex, with the football stadium and more entertainment venues and amphitheater, the theme park, obviously, and really looking to improve. It would make sense to me that California's Great America would be getting the completely new type of coaster. We've talked about the possibility of Knott's maybe getting an Intamin half pipe, because that would seem to fit the hang time theme. You could do a surfboard type vehicle, and that would seem to fit in very well to that plot of land and into the boardwalk theme. The hang time name that we've seen trademarked. So, assuming that that's what Knott's is, that still leaves a lot of questions for California's Great America, because that would leave you with a completely new type of coaster going to California's Great America, which, even though there's a lot of different things you could speculate a bunch of things, like the whole single rail, and will they have a different kind of version or a different spin on the single rail? Will it be a launch single rail? Will it be a racing single rail? Those are the things we've kind of talked about. But in reality, it could actually be anything. Now, I'll let you chime in here quick before I give the folks some thoughts that I gave you earlier.
Well, let's look at that proposed plan that California's Great America put out like a few years ago. So as you can see, there's a whole map here. It has everything that they want to do over the next few years here. You can see that on number 12, it clearly listed a Vortex roller coaster, that they were going to redo that attraction. That happened this year, where we got Vortex being turned into Patriot. Now, if you look at the area that we're discussing for 2018, that would be listed as number 10 on this map here in green. So kind of like dead center, right underneath where it says theme park, number 10. And under number 10, it says steel roller coaster, water coaster. Now, on that first show, this is why we speculated that maybe this new ride would be an Intamin Aquatrax or something like that, because they said water coaster. Now, what's interesting about this map is that if you look at it, so if you look at like number 11, it says family attractions, and it says mini steel coaster or a play structure or a family flat ride. But you can see that number 11 shows up 3 times on there. So maybe over the next few years, they're going to get all 3 of those. I don't know. Under, other things, sometimes there's more things listed for. So like 17, they have a whole slew of things listed, but there's only 3 17s. Now, does that mean that there's going to be a slide complex in the water park? I don't know. But here we have major attraction, steel roller coaster, and water coaster, but only one number 10. Now, that can mean a number of things. Now, we've speculated. I think a lot of people are going right to the single rail idea. That a lot of people said that they're just going to mirror Wonder Woman from Fiesta, Texas. They're going to throw that in there as a single rail Raptor track. Danny, I just feel that that is not going to happen for a number of reasons. Biggest on the list is I can't even think the last. Has it ever happened where Cedar Fair and Six Flags has put in the same type of roller coaster that was brand new in the same year?
That's the thing that really has me hung up here. And like I said before, and I'm going to throw something out there here that I told you a little earlier tonight, and this could very possibly be digging way too deep and reading way too much in between the lines. The way the Matt We Met quote was worded said a completely new type of coaster. Now, he doesn't say it's a world's first. He doesn't say it's a North American's first. He doesn't say it's going to be the very first of its kind. He said it's going to be a completely new type of ride. So in theory, it could be a Raptor single rail.
Yeah.
And that would not really be a false statement because for 2018, it would be a completely new type.
Yeah. There's none right now. There's when he said it, there's.
So the way he words that, as of that statement, it's very possible that he didn't know that.
Or he did.
Or maybe he did.
And that's why he said it like that.
And that's why he said it like that. He didn't call it a world's first. He didn't call it a North American's first because we debated what does a completely new type mean. That it could be a completely new type of concept. We said completely new, well, what if it's a tilt coaster? And, there's one of those, but it's in Taiwan, so nobody who really cares has ever really heard of it, And so there's different ways to digest that side of things. And I'll let you interpret it how you want. The second thing we know is that it's 110 feet tall, which right off the bat leads you to think that it would be a clone or very similar ride to the Wonder Woman ride recently announced for Fiesta, Texas, because that is 113 feet tall. So with maybe some of the height differences in the ground and the fact that Wonder Woman does go, will be over that water, that'll probably be a little bit farther down, 110 feet would seem reasonable for a clone of that ride here. And here's the other thing to consider, and I'm on the old roller coaster database here, as we like to reference so much. If we look at, we've talked about Cannon from Liseberg and where that's going, and you and I keep going. I believe we were the first ones to actually come up with this because this was your idea originally.
Well, yeah,
we've gone back to it several times. The problem with Cannon, I did a Google Maps overlay earlier tonight. Cannon would fit very, very nicely in that plot of land. The only problem here is that Cannon's height is 78.8 feet. So where do you get the extra 30 feet? And I have a problem finding out where you do that. I don't know how they come up with that.
Do they ever overzone? Like I like say I want 110, but then only put in lesser, so I can go up to 110 because we've also speculated that the reason why they have two things listed under number 10 with steel roller coaster and water coaster is maybe when they did this plan, they weren't quite sure what was going to happen. And there's a number of reasons why that could be. So one, RMC might not have been available. That yes, we talk about 5-year plans all the time, but we kind of feel that, Hurler was pushed back a year for whatever reason.
This expansion plan, I mean, a lot of this stuff is probably contingent on the expansion plan being approved because, Gold Striker was in the works since 2007, 2008 as part of that three-ride GCI package that included Renegade and Prowler, and that got pushed back till 2013 because they had zoning issues and they had permit issues, and so things change with that kind of thing. And this kind of project, and if it is, say, a water coaster like a Pulsar or even a single rail, I mean, this 5 years ago, this single rail concept probably was in its very early stages, probably not even available out for the parks to know that was even existed if the concept was even started. So it's, we know that Gatekeeper didn't start until 2011. That wasn't really that was like a 2.5, 3-year project at the longest. So things do change with these 5-year plans. They're not always set in stone. And if it is a smaller to medium-sized attraction, it's not inconceivable that this has taken 1.5 to 2 years to really understand what's happening and to really develop. So it's quite possible that when they proposed this expansion plan, a year and a half ago, year and a half ago, that they knew they were going to do a roller coaster of some sort. They didn't know what type yet. So it's not explicitly called out here. They put in the possibilities knowing that it could be a water coaster. Like I said, parks put out bids and they go to all these different companies. We heard in the Lightning Rod documentary that Devin Olson Media did how Alan Schilke said they weren't just competing for a wood coaster. They were competing for flat rides. They were competing for steel roller coasters. And they weren't just competing with other wood coaster companies. They were competing with everybody. So it's possible that California's Great America had put out bids and they knew what they were looking for. And they went to 5 or 6 different companies and had some bids in, but hadn't finalized on which bid they were going to accept as the attraction to build. So that's a very simple explanation as to why we have 2 descriptions underneath the major attraction here.
And the other issue with this T-shirt that I should say thank you to Rob from California for sending this in to us, that he's the one who spotted it inside the park, saw it. It's a T-shirt inside the shop right now. He sent it to us, so thank you for that. But the other thing I want to say is with this T-shirt is with the 2 tire tracks. And this is the other part that gets me hung up on the Raptor track, that these tire tracks that we see were also on the very original teaser that we saw that were painted white on the ground. And there's 2 of them. And
it's like the King's Dominion, flip-flop tees because they're in every teaser. And it's like when you're in school, when you're in college or high school or whatever, anything that a teacher writes on the board or something they say over and over and over again is important.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a teacher, you can attest this.
Absolutely.
Anything you say over and over again or you write over and over again is really, really important. So the fact that King's Dominion keeps giving us these 2 T's with one upside down makes it important. There's an extra clue there that needs to be uncovered. The fact that we've seen these tire tracks here multiple times in these teasers makes me think that is a major part of something here. And remember, we've only gotten 3 trademarks this year. We've got Hang Time, we've got Railblazer, we've got The Ledge, but we've also got Centurion, which is still kind of just sitting around there, which is still live, by the way. Now, parks don't always use every trademark they file for. We saw that with Centurion.
Also very similar to where we saw the T-shirt with Centurion in the window.
Yeah, the same sort of thing where, the it's in the window there.
Well,
there's a lot of different ways to look, and I don't think we're going to come out of this telling you this is. I don't think you and I are going to come out of this saying this is what's happening. And, this is definitely, I don't think this solves the puzzle. I think this just kind of reiterates what we've seen from the beginning and starts to kind of fall in line with everything else we've seen.
Here's my problem. That you have these tire tracks, and there's two of them. There's two tire tracks. My problem is with the single rail, it almost feels like there should only be one tire track. If it was truly a single rail coaster, that now I've speculated that maybe if it is a single rail, it's a racer, so that you have two trains launching or going out at the exact same time. That would solve a lot of the capacity issues that we've been discussing about the Raptor track in a big park. You would now have 16 people every cycle as opposed to just 8. That helps tremendously to get things moving. But I keep going back to, why would a single rail have two tire treads on it? Is this the Intamin coaster and we're wrong about knots in the half pipe? Or is this really just a Raptor? I just have a hard time buying that this is going to be a Raptor clone of Wonder Woman. I have a very hard time buying that. If that's what it is what it is. But I have a hard time buying that that's what's going on here. That all the clues, that the SR-1 seems like a huge red herring to me. It sounds like exactly the whole Colosseum theme was with Fury. Everyone thought it was going to be Centurion. Everyone thought it was going to be Roman themed. With all the clues they were given, it was a huge red herring.
They showed a wing coaster in the teaser video on the TVs just a week before the announcement.
Absolutely, and I just feel like this everyone's going to Raptor track now, and I feel like this is not that. I don't think that this is what this is. I could be completely wrong on that. I feel the same way. Just because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make almost any sense that Cedar Fair and Six Flags would get the exact same ride in the same year. It just doesn't seem to be the case. I don't know why. We've talked about it even from a perspective of RMC. Why would RMC do a same style ride, the very similar ride for both companies, and allow one of them to claim it as the world's first? Yeah.
And somehow not, unless they're both going to claim it. And I don't think that's what's going to happen. I honestly don't think they're both going to claim world's first single rail coaster. I don't know if at this point, I don't know if California's Great America will be able to get away with that.
No,
Texas has announced theirs. They're saying it's opening in March. Now, California's Great America very possibly could open up theirs around the same time. But unless that was the point of Matt Ouimet wording what he said the way he did by saying a completely new type and not calling it a world's first, because the world's first, North America's first, those seem to be the buzzwords the last year or two. The last couple of years with these roller coasters, world's first, it's not even record. It's not even tallest, fastest, longest. It's not even that anymore. It's world's first. It's North America's first. It's region's first. It's everybody. Yeah. We saw it with Hershey Park the other day. The first the first magnetic water coaster to have flying saucer turns.
Yeah.
And the first mat racer to have 2 looping helixes or whatever. Everyone's about the first now instead of the superlative.
Yeah, and I, and that's all fine and good. I just had a feeling that when we walked into this teaser season, we said 2 things. We said Tilt Coaster, we said Cannonin. And I just find it funny that now we're back to the end of the teaser season, that we're going to find out next week in a few days here what's going to happen. And I feel that we're back at the point where it could be a Tilt Coaster and Cannonin all of a sudden. and everything still fits. I don't know.
Tilt Coaster and Cannonin would still satisfy what we're looking for at this point. And you could probably make it work. I mean, it's a name, very simply. And If hang time is the name for the Knott's coaster, that could very easily be the tilt coaster right there. It doesn't have to be big.
And honestly, no matter what the Kaga ride is, it could easily be called Railblazer. And I know you want that to be the Mean Streak name, but it very well could be Railblazer. So we could have.
And the only like I said, the only thing that suggests California's Great America is not getting cannon in is the 79-foot height.
Yeah,
that's the only thing really suggesting against that. But again, I don't know if that's the zoning. We know that when maybe a lot of folks don't know this, but when Dorney Park got clearance for Steel Forest, which is 200 feet tall, they initially got clearance for 225 feet. So parks it's not like it's never happened before where a park requests some sort of zoning and then they stay under that. I mean, didn't Cedar Point at one point ask for zoning of 235 feet for Valraven, and it ended up only being like 215 or something like that? I don't even know what the stat is on Valraven.
I feel at some point, like, if you have to level the ride, like, and I know Cannonin's a relocation and it looks to be pretty flat, but if there's any leveling that needs to happen, you may have to level the whole thing, 10 to 15 feet or maybe even more. I'm no engineer. But, it's a thought out there that we've been playing around with for a very long time. We're going to find out next week, but I find it very interesting that this T-shirt is in the shop right now with State Route 1 on it that we said on day one.
Is this a nod to both of us, you with the State Route 1 and me with the T-shirts? Is that the game they're playing here and they're just doing this to have fun with us?
Can someone get me this T-shirt? Because I want this T-shirt. I'm not going to make it out by the end of the season.
One too. I wear a large.
But I want this T-shirt. So,
yeah.
If you can message me, and once again, thanks to Rob for sending us this picture, and we'll keep you updated. Danny, I didn't think we're going to have any more updates on this stuff, but here we are.
We're just beginning.
Here we are. Another update all of a sudden.
We're 6 days away, and we're just beginning. We're just getting warmed up here.
Well,
the last 3 months have all been practice for what the next 5 days are going to bring. I guarantee it. We're gonna get a giant influx of them.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so I'll clear my calendar, clear my evenings. You should too then. So as always, stay tuned with us here on COASTER-net Update. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
And as always, right on, Ride Warriors.
Refresh that page. There's another update coming right after this one. Yeah, guys.
Oh.